Hello, and welcome to the W.A.I.T channel. What Am I Thinking? A podcast where two sisters share uplifting conversations on fun and sometimes serious topics.
Join us each week by clicking the notification bell and subscribing to our channel. If you enjoy the show, use the share link. It's one of the best ways to expand the conversation.
Hello, and welcome to the W.A.I.T channel. What am I thinking? Well, Lori, today we are going to talk about Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town. I had seen quite a bit on the internet about people weighing in. I even heard that CMT took the video off of their play rotation, the country music channel. And so I just said, let me listen to it for myself and see what everybody is upset about. So we're not going to play it because if you haven't listened to it, it doesn't take much for you to find it on the internet to listen to it. You don't have to buy it at all. You know that. So, my take on the song, the first thing I would say is I don't think to label it as a racist song is quite the thing. The thing that concerned me most about it was possible vigilante justice and having lived in a big city and lived in several small towns, even now, small towns are not perfect. So I don't want him to paint this picture of small time life as not having any issues. We know that the opioid crisis has affected them. We know that they deal with domestic violence. We know that people who are different have a harder struggle living in a small town because it's harder to be truly who you are if there's a concern about being accepted or being bullied or harassed in some way. So my problem is you say try that in a small town and it's like, what are you really saying? I don't think some people may say it's small town versus big city, but it's like small towns have their issues. So what do you say, Lori, after you listen to it?
My first thought was the movie, and I didn't read the book, Peyton Place. And I just thought that, and that movie was out over 30, 40 years ago. I felt that have we not learned a lesson yet? That based on what he's saying in this song, he does paint this picture. Everybody knows everybody. We're out here to keep everybody safe. Don't come out here trying this or trying that. And you just listed just a few problems that we see in suburban and rural communities, and that is literally just the tip of the iceberg, because we know that in smaller communities where many people do know each other, they are very careful and they tend to be very secretive with things that are actually going on, choosing not to report things, whether it's theft or domestic violence or instances of things that happen within the education system. They hush it up because they don't want it to hit the news. So I would say, okay, so you're saying don't come into our town. We'll take care of you if you do. What are you saying to the people that live in the town? You didn't address that in your song, because we know clearly there are problems in rural communities, just like urban communities have problems, suburban communities have problems. I would have been more accepting of the song if he just sang about that, and that we do need to be more tolerant. We do need to understand diversity. We do need to be more accepting and stop this this false narrative of one area is better or safer than another. That's my take.
Well, I think those are very valid points. And, one of the, I guess, bad things about the song is it's got good music, and it does, there are aspects of the song that are true. Nobody wants to see somebody carjacked. Nobody wants to see a store robbed. Nobody is pro that. And to try to say as if these things would never happen in a small town, and if they did, you would handle it. And then there's the line about people being raised right. Well, if people were really being raised right, there are a lot of problems that would have not been passed on generation to generation if people were really being raised right. So I want to say the message that he was trying to deliver, that he probably missed the mark, unless this was, because you can't even say this is really dog whistle kind of thing, because he's being pretty blatant in what he's saying. But I don't think it's racist. Could it be something that we could say related to where you live, and whether small town life is better than big city life or something like that? And it's like, it's apples and oranges. So having lived in both, there are pros and cons to both. So I kind of wish that he had just, like you said, just kind of, if you want to highlight the positives of a small town, then do that. But it doesn't have to be a compare and contrast situation. So there are people who have blown it way out of proportion, because for those who had that same mindset as him, all this did was help them to glorify it more. I don't think this is going to make somebody go out and, commit vigilante justice. I would hope not. But, one of those things, my saying, extremes on one end or the other, extreme reactions to it, not necessarily necessary. But I think he's missing the mark of some of the key thing you said about secrets and people hiding what the bad things, and people not truly being able to live out loud as themselves in a small town is something that we know happens. And as a clinician and as a nurse, we both know that happens in small towns. So I would say, maybe this song was glorifying something that didn't need to be glorified. What would you say, Lori?
I just think when people have a platform, a certain amount of responsibility comes with that. And when you're going to use your platform, take a temperature check of your country. What's going on? What will be receptive? What will stoke a fire? I think that in the current atmosphere or air of the country, we are very divided. Why would somebody create a song with words that just divide us even more? I don't get that.
It's called money.
And I'm 100% freedom of speech. I do think that we do have the right, just like we're on this podcast and we're giving our opinions. But I also know that I do have a responsibility, and that I won't take my personal opinions too far. I do try to be mindful of other people's feelings. I don't sense that mindfulness in that song.
Yeah. And I don't think there was, if you think of his country music audience, he knew that this was a message that he could safely send to them. Did he think it would take fire like this and mainstream? There are some country artists that I listen to, some songs that I like. And so would he have thought I would have been someone that would have listened to this song? Like I said, the guitar riffs in the song, it's not a bad song. I just wish that some of the messaging that he was sending, and even the images in the video, that he had taken it a different way. But I don't think it's a racist song. I don't think racism is the problem with that song. It's kind of being tone deaf to other things in society. As you said, he kind of should have taken the temperature. But we want to know what you're thinking. That's what we're thinking when it comes to what he's trying to say in that song. And if you think of some of the things that have happened in small towns, I think someone talked about the Matthew Shepard incident. Those are not things we want to glorify when it comes to small towns. And I don't know if this is doubling down on that, being, blind to that or what. But you tell us what you're thinking. Comment in our comment section and share your thoughts and feelings about Try That in a Small Town. Take a minute and listen to it if you haven't. Don't go by what we're saying. Listen to it for yourself and then weigh in. Thank you for listening to the W.A.I.T channel, What Am I Thinking? And please tune in next week to see What Am I Thinking. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely ours and should be taken as such. Our thoughts are intended purely for entertainment purposes. Please do not take anything we say as fact or advice. Thank you for listening.